Marcus apparently did not appreciate this response. He told Sarah she had 1 week to figure out who the real father was and get proof or he was done with both of them. Sarah spent that week trying to convince him that the test was wrong and that they should just ignore it and continue being a family. But Marcus wasn't having it, so he kicked them out. Sarah called me that day crying and asking if she could come over to talk. I told her no because I wasn't going to get dragged back into her drama, especially when she'd refused to give me any information about whether I might be the father when it actually mattered. She begged me to just let her explain the situation, but I said she'd had plenty of chances to be honest with me and she'd chosen to trust her intuition instead. Over the next few weeks Sarah kept calling and texting me asking for help. She said she was staying with her sister but couldn't afford her own place without Marcus's financial support. She said she was overwhelmed trying to take care of River by herself and that she just needed someone to help her figure things out. I ignored most of her messages because I figured this was the consequence of her choices. She'd been so confident that her spiritual connection meant more than actual facts. So now she could deal with reality on her own. But then she started showing up at my apartment. The first time she came over she looked terrible. She was carrying River and had this huge diaper bag and looked like she hadn't slept in days. She said she just needed to talk to me and explain everything and that she realized she'd made some mistakes but we could work through them together. I told her through the door that there was nothing to work through because she'd made her choice 2 years ago when she decided her intuition was more reliable than a paternity test. She started crying and saying she'd been confused and scared and that Marcus had pressured her to choose between him and me. But I wasn't buying it because nobody had pressured her to refuse a paternity test. That was her decision based on her mystical feelings about who the father was. I told her she needed to leave and figure out her own problems. She kept coming back though. Sometimes she'd bring River and sometimes she'd come alone. She'd sit in the hallway and call my phone begging me to just open the door and talk to her. She said she was desperate and didn't know where else to turn and that even if River wasn't my biological son we'd been trying to start a family for so long that maybe this was the universe's way of giving us what we wanted. That really made me angry because now suddenly she wanted to talk about the universe's plan when it was convenient for her. When she thought Marcus was the father the universe had brought them together and their connection was so deep and spiritual. But now that he'd abandoned them suddenly the universe wanted her to come back to me with another man's baby. I told her she needed to stop coming to my apartment or I'd call the police for harassment. She said she understood I was angry but that River was an innocent baby who needed stability and couldn't I at least consider helping for the baby's sake even if I didn't want to help her. The thing is I did feel bad for the baby because none of this was River's fault. But I also wasn't going to reward